Sales is serving others with solutions. And if you don't sell, you don't have a business.
How that framework looks, that blueprint that you need for your sales strategy is going to be unique to every business, but it starts with your client thinking, with your product or service, your solution, and who you are authentically. And then you build it out from there.
Many people are trying to sell the process, which means they're hearing, I have to do lots of work. They don't want to do lots of work. They want you to simplify everything for them. They want to buy transformation. And so if you're selling transaction versus transformation and you're selling a process, that also could be why they're presenting objections.
You're listening to the Real Business Connections Network. Real Business Connections Network. Powered by Balbert Marketing, LLC. Subscribe now and check us out at realbusinessconnections.com. Enjoy the show.
Welcome, everyone, once again to Real Talk with GrowGetters. I'm here with two queens of business development, and we're going to talk about business development. We're going to talk about sales. Real Talk with GrowGetters is where Ben brings members of his peer group, of his network, to talk about things he doesn't know every little detail about. So as a peer-to-peer hive mind, we can solve a lot of problems. So I want to pass it to you two to introduce yourselves. Lynn, if you don't mind going first, say hello and what you do.
Well, hello. And Ben, thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure. Business owners and entrepreneurs hire me to ignite winning sales, because most fail to connect, capture, and close their ideal clients. So I help sell with intent for maximum impact, influence, and income. Bottom line, sales, love it or hate it. You won't survive without it. And I love sales. Sales is a gift. And when I'm not selling and not helping my clients with their sales, I love visiting national parks and playing Pokemon Go. Bridget, I didn't know the
Pokemon Go part. First, I wanted to say real quick, Lynn, I love that you mentioned sales as a gift. I love that you sell intentionally. You're here to help people. And a big part of why I wanted you on this panel is because you just are kick-ass at sales. So, Bridget, you're up next.
Listen, Lynn, Ben, I love sales. Sales is serving others with solutions, right? And if you don't sell, you don't have a business. My name is Bridget Hom. I'm a best-selling author, motivational speaker, and business and life coach. And I believe people deserve to transform relationships into revenue and do entrepreneurship successfully. When I was getting Zoom divorced during the reinvention evolution of 2020, I launched my coaching business, getting to a six-figure plus income while I had my three boys at home. Then I met my current husband in Zoom business networking. That's a fun story for a later time. But what entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants hire me to help them do is to do entrepreneurship successfully, make it scalable, but honor their roles and goals while they're monetizing their influence.
And one thing you didn't mention is you're a mindset expert as well. And
yes.
That was one thing I wanted to highlight as to why I wanted you on the panel, is because tactics are super important, but the mindset's also super important as well. And both of you guys are so passionate about this stuff. So I'm excited to have this conversation. Let's start with Lynn.
Hey,
let's
Tarky joined.
I noticed that. I was getting distracted. Cat cam.
Yeah, cat cam.
I know you always speak about being client focused first. What does it actually mean to be? I know this might sound like such a 101 question, but what is client focused? Because when I think sales, I often think revenue, I think money, I think prosperity. But you're saying you need to be client focused first. Talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something I'm willing to die on a hill for. So you must think like your client. And it's not about you. Sales is about them. It's about what do they want, need, or lack? Why does it matter to them? What's in it for them? What keeps them up late at night? What problem are they trying to solve, or a solution are they seeking? And ultimately, it's so they can ... What? I mean, what is the goal? What's the solution? What's the dream that they desire ardently? And that's what people purchase. They purchase to get that goal, to get that solution, to get that dream. My cat's in the way, so I can't quite reach it, but no one buys an iPhone to make a phone call. Okay? They buy it for all these other reasons. And when you really tap into your client thinking and get out of your own way, that's when the magic happens. You can truly communicate with them effectively. You can wear your detective hat more efficiently to understand what's going on, to connect the dots. Are you a good fit? Are they a good fit for your solution? Are they a good fit for your style? Because at the end of the day, this is a relationship, a lifelong relationship that you're creating. And if they're not a good fit, don't waste your time. I mean, they may be wonderful, but refer them to someone who is a better fit so that you can focus on your core genius and helping as many people and creating as much impact as possible. Right? You muted yourself, Bridget.
And
Thumbs up.
And the successful mindset behind that is that there's no such thing as acceptance or rejection in the world of business and relationships. There is only alignment.
Yes.
And when we come from a place of alignment and being problem aware and solution seeking, then that is the successful mindset that every entrepreneur, coach, and consultant has to have. Because if you're not problem aware and solution seeking, how are you going to help your prospect to be the same? And I totally agree with you. You don't sell someone a product, message, or service. No one wants mine. No one wants yours. They want more and better. And so what they're going to buy from you first is your belief that you have the more and better for them. Second, they're going to buy your authority, credibility, and relatability. And then they'll finally take a look at your product, message, or service. So the mindset behind the successful entrepreneur is always stepping into that first.
Let's stay on mindset for a moment. So, Bridget, I want to start with you. You're jumping into your first discovery call. I know both of you do a lot of networking. You do discovery calls. You help a lot of people. What is your mindset going into your first call?
Number one goal is always to show up well and authentically. Number two goal is to focus on empowering that person in front of me no matter what, which means empowerment, according to Webster's dictionary, means giving someone the authority or power to do something. I say also to be something. So I create a space of radical self-acceptance for that person to become problem aware and solution seeking. So I asked my first question is, I'm curious, when you thought about us chatting today, what was your thought? Because unless you speak to the thought that they had or intention they had when meeting with you, you could have a runaway train of thought conversation and nothing will get done in the conversation. It's not going to honor their intention or yours.
I've been on the other side of calls where I don't even know why I was there. That they just started pitching me from phase one. And I was like, we probably should have cleared up our intentions before we started this call, huh?
Right.
Absolutely.
And Lynn, and I was going to say, listening is the universal language of love and respect. And if we flipped half our statements into questions, we would understand our prospects, our clients, and referral partners on a whole new level.
Yeah, it's so important to wear that detective hat and to provide that safe space. Always be your authentic self. I love that statement because, that's really that connector, about how you're going to be able to work together effectively. And I want to add another piece of advice. So when someone gives you a response, listen carefully because it may be that it's sort of a surface level. And that's where you can ask, tell me more, help me understand. I'm curious about that, or you can simply go, and don't talk. And that will drive, your prospect to give you more information because that second answer is often deeper. and it gives you more insight into what they're struggling with or where their mindset is at, what's wrapped up in their emotions. Because we're all human beings and we purchase on emotions first and then we rationalize it later. So really getting in tune with what's going on and their feelings is going to help you tremendously to understand if this is a good fit and if you're going to be able to help and serve them.
I want you to keep going a little deeper on this, because I know in my experience, for example, if someone says something like, well, I don't have any money to invest right now, I feel like a lot of people teach, well, here's 3 objections to handle the money objection, when you can kind of just say, and be like, what do you mean by not having money to invest right now? You don't even have to answer the objection. You can go a little deeper.
Yeah. I'll jump in first, Bridget, but the money thing is the simplest way that people can object. But truth be told, that is always a very surface level. It means that you haven't demonstrated the value from their perspective of why this is an investment, that this is a bet they need to make on themselves, on you, on their future, on achieving that goal, solution, or dream. And so rather than a knee-jerk response of, trying to get into the money, instead, take that step back and, tell me more. What would make a wise investment in yourself? How do you decide on investing in yourself? And everyone is going to have different ways to approach this based on your own personality and what you feel comfortable with. I do want to tell you to stretch that, because it's rarely about the money. Now, there could be a surface issue where the money is the issue, but they're going through a really tough time. They've got some commitments that they need to see through. Well, now you're paving the path for the future. Many people aren't ready to purchase instantly. And so having a process in mind so that you can acquire that business later is really important. Mastering your follow-up. And that's going to deliver a great deal of additional sales. So instead of endlessly chasing leads, you're actually converting more of those prospects. It's just not instant. So, I covered a whole lot of ground there. And Bridget, I know you've got a bunch to jump in on, and Ben as well.
Couple of things. First off, many entrepreneurs haven't practiced overcoming objections. So you should know, first of all, you have to have at least 20 to 30 conversations a week if you're an entrepreneur who's scaling. And you could do that between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. like I do. But you want to have enough conversations where you actually know the 3 main objections that your prospects have. Number 2, you want to realize that if you are not closing, you're probably trying to sell your prospects a process versus transformation. And that's a huge problem. Many people are trying to sell the process, which means they're hearing, I have to do lots of work. They don't want to do lots of work. They want you to simplify everything for them. They want to buy transformation. And so if you're selling transaction versus transformation and you're selling a process, that also could be why they're presenting objections, because you haven't either listened and helped them to get problem aware and solution seeking enough for them to reveal, hey, I absolutely want what you have to offer. Then third, and lastly, master the ability to pause with a purpose, because they have to have a conversation with their mental team. And the truth is they need a moment to process. So get a cup of coffee, whatever it is, and say, is this something you would like to have, or I can absolutely help you with this, and then take a sip.
Yeah, I love the powerful pause. That is one of the most important pieces of business, especially for women, because we're going to want to jump in and fill the blank. So leverage the powerful pause. It does give them time to process and to think of a response. And it also, you utilize it as well for yourself to have heard what they said and to process that response. That's It's one of the most effective tools that you're going to be able to use in every aspect of your life.
Question for both of you as the dude here. Is sales as a woman different than as a man?
I don't know if I could actually answer that because I've never been a man, Ben.
Fair.
Then I'll say that in my corporate career, I worked in a male-dominated industry. I have lots of male clients. I was often the only woman or one of two in the room. So I adopted certain things. To this day, I use a lot of sports terminology. Let's get this over the goal line. We don't need a Hail Mary. We're going to get this down the field, whatever. Right. So some of those types of analogies or metaphors. However, and this depends on the individual, but my core values are to help and serve. And that's why sales was such a perfect fit for me, because I help and serve my clients. I create massive impact, and that just feeds my soul. It lights me up. And that's what sales really is. That's why I said it's a gift. And so you can be a woman who's got a dagger between her teeth, or you can be a man who's really in tune with why this matters, the difference that you make. So, sure, there's some differences, but I think you can be who you want to be.
And I would actually add in that sales is sales. The process of selling and being direct and getting into the right mindset is the same. There are definitely consistent. You have to be in the mindset where you are confident, that you believe in what your offer is, that where you're able to reach out and ask people empowering questions. And empowering questions never begin with why. They only begin with when, what, how, do. When ideally would you like to get started? What's your next step, right? You always want to use empowered language and always having that attitude of being that empowerment generator. So when you ask, men or women, it's the same process, I would say. Be direct, be authentic, and the right people who are in alignment with your message will come.
I love both those answers. That was not a leading question. I had no clue what the answer would be to a question like that. I just know as a dude, there's a lot of like hustle culture, grind, kind of aggressive way of doing things. And in my experience, that doesn't work in 2025. And a lot of more the calm, cool, collective, let me hold you by the hand and walk you there, that traditionally maybe more feminine perspective seems to actually be working far better than the old athletic, I'm going to run to the goal line dude kind of stuff. Maybe that's my own misconception, but when someone tries to hard close me with all this energy, I start to sweat and I want to get out of the room.
Well, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors energy in marketing and coaching. There's a lot of money motivated individuals who will bypass the relationship to make a quick sale. And so I would say that's the negative aspect of sales. And there's a positive aspect of sales. There's a positive and a negative way of doing things. I think that when you were saying, what I gathered from it was that every single person wants an aspect of partnership. They want that partnership energy. Like, hey, listen, I'm going to encourage you, inspire you, and empower you. I'm going to hold your hand here, but I'm not going to hold your hand there. And so I think it's really about that full picture. And there is negative ways to do sales and positive ways to do sales, right, Lynn? We've seen it all.
Yeah. There's definitely the sleazy and manipulative sales. And what I would say to you, Ben, is that people who are doing that, it's a very short term. They're not going to have long-term relationships. I mean, to this day, literally anyone I've ever sold to, I could pick up the phone and call them and they'd be happy to hear from me. And that's why most of my business comes from referrals. I keep very busy because that is, you're building a long-term professional relationship. And it's just so much more about, that win-win. And if you don't approach sales like that, you're constantly having churn. It's constant, because people, they're smart. They figure it out, that they were manipulated, that you took advantage of them, that you can't deliver what you promised, that it is all smoke and mirrors. That's just, the old adage, it takes a lifetime to build a reputation and 5 seconds to destroy it is true now more than ever. I mean, I think it used to be 5 minutes. Now it's 5 seconds, whatever. So sales is about relationships. It's about serving and providing solutions.
Sounds about right. 2 more things I wanted to tackle today. Some of the processes, and 2025 being a new year. We want to have balance. We want to stay happy. We don't want to just focus on business. So talk a little bit about that balance. So those are the 2 topics we'll close with. First, let's talk a little bit about the process. And Lynn, you've mentioned multiple times relationships, long-term. If we're doing something for the long term, I think it's fair to assume we want strong processes that can be scalable and are consistent, more reliable. A lot of salespeople, a lot of revenue-driven people, entrepreneurs, they're incremental. Like, you don't know how much you're going to make any given month some of the time. So reliability is good. How do you systemize this a little bit better for the long term?
Well, there's a number of different ways that you can go about that. It does start with your client thinking, really putting that in place. And then for those repeatable, consistent, scalable processes, that's going to be unique for every business and every business owner, entrepreneur. And because if you're trying to force yourself to do something that you truly loathe and don't like, it's not going to connect. And there's a lot of different ways that you can make and build those connections and those relationships. But it's also about staying front of mind, staying in connection by delivering value that matters to your prospect and continuing to offer the opportunity to go to the next step, right? And so that's having that repeatable process. And all of that really is generated from your own worthy intent, that you truly desire to help and serve others, that you're going to show up as your authentic self every time, that you know that what you do is magical. You are truly going to create that transformation for your clients. You just know it in your gut, and you've experienced that and the joy of that. And then finally, that you're going to nurture, and so that relationship can flourish, so their business or the transformation that you provide is going to help them flourish. And you yourself, in return, you're going to flourish from the additional business. And so that's how that framework looks. That blueprint that you need for your sales strategy is going to be unique to every business, but it starts with your client thinking, with your product or service, your solution, and who you are authentically. And then you build it out from there.
What do you think, Bridget? Agree, disagree?
Oh, I always agree with authenticity and building relationships. Always. What I would say, there's so many different components to successful entrepreneurship, but I would say one of the number one ways that entrepreneurs fail to differentiate themselves in many industries, especially going into the new year, we're in 2025. This is exciting. They need to create brandable language, and they need to develop those hook points, those 3 results that their clients will gain from working with them. And they need to be able to share that everywhere. They need to utilize AI. They need to find platforms that can help them to get visible faster and still honor their time. One of the strategies that all of my clients use is they need to structure their day based on their hours of operation, the times that they want to be serving others with solutions. And they need to honor a specific list. And that list is their mindset programming to get into that empowering state, their clients, prospects, prospecting, networking, content creation, and delegation. And all my clients use this specific list because one of the number one reasons most entrepreneurs fail, because they're their own boss, right, is that they fail to commit tasks to dollar signs. If I do this, it's going to directly or indirectly bring dollars and transform relationships into revenue. So if you're listening right now and you're like, hey, I want to scale, then look at what your hours of operation are bringing you for income and relationships, and how are you honoring your prospects, clients, and referral partners during those hours of operation?
Yeah, I would like to add one more thing because I loved the mention of the Holy Grail, your top 3 benefits, the top 3 outcomes that your client is going to receive from working with you. And I concur that is one of the most important things that you identify. They're not features, they're benefits. So the transformation that they can expect to receive when they work with you.
And, the one thing that I see, and I'm sure you both see this a lot, is that everyone's talking about habits. You've got to change your habits, especially the new year. We've got to transform and become all new people, right? It's maybe exaggeration. But what we don't get into is we get to the place where we want to focus on getting into new habits, but we forget that we have to fire the excuses. And we need to create an anchor, a tangible reminder of how we're going to fire those excuses. And what are those excuses that stand in our way from scaling our business, from reaching out to more people? So I always say you want to fire and hire the right mental team. So figure out what excuses you have on board and then fire them.
Oof, drop the mic. I don't even know. I'm going to circle back to the question I was going to ask because I'm squeezing in a topic before our final one, because so much of what we've talked about is relationships, longevity. At the end there, Bridget, you had mentioned like brandable language. Is it fair to assume that we're not just a sales professional? We're also a personal brand. We do a lot of social selling. We do a lot of relationship building. It's a great place to be when you're just being, funneled over leads all day long. But most of us are actually out there building relationships and finding our own people that we can serve. So is it true that both of you kind of have a personal brand? And if so, talk a little bit about how you've developed your personal brands.
I don't know who wants to go first. You can go. I'd say I definitely have a personal brand.
I know you do. I know you both do. That's why I said it.
Yeah. So it does come down to really knowing yourself and your core genius and that magical elixir that is you. And however you want to talk about that and not shying away from that, whatever it happens to be. I mean, at the beginning, before we hit record, Bridget was talking about Wonder Woman. And I was talking about how one of my clients uses that persona because that just speaks to who she is. And that's how she shows up. And so it's really important that you be consistent and mindful about that because there are so many distractions and it's so easy to get off track. And I loved what Bridget said about, assigning a dollar sign to this. I've been on hundreds of podcasts. I am very strategic about the shows that I'm a guest on now. Very strategic because it's, am I speaking to my ideal audience? Am I going to provide value to that audience? Build a relationship. I already have a standing relationship with Ben, but now I'm building one with Bridget, right? With the host. And so these are questions that matter. And so that really ties in with that brand. It also ties in with being very intentional about your goals and your vision.
I'm actually going to describe my brand from 2 testimonials. One, a woman reached out to me on Facebook. And by the way, 78% of people outsell their peers because they have a social media presence, according to Forbes. This one woman, she saw one of my motivational trainings and she said, I didn't even listen to the whole training. I didn't want to hear what you had to say when you gave this training. I didn't even like you because you were saying exactly what I needed to hear. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a great conversation. I'm feeling really good about this. And she goes, I need you to light a fire under my butt. And I know you could do it. And I'm like, game on. When do you want to get started? So my brand is always action oriented. When you're not ready to take action, don't call me, because I want to make sure that you're getting results and you have a fire lit under your butt. Second testimonial was actually my son, James. We were actually visiting the Salt Suite, which is an incredible place where you breathe in dry salt air. I'm not going to do a pitch for it right now, but check out saltsuite.com. And we were sitting there, and this one woman, she was actually from New York, and she goes, "Well, what do you do?" And my son looks up from his iPad and she goes, "She changes lives." And he broke free from giving the sales pitch. He didn't say business and life coaching. He just went for, here, she changes lives. And so with that, I believe that every entrepreneur deserves a life and business evolution. And that's why we do business on our terms. And so that is the brand. Do business on your terms and love your life.
That's the transformation you were talking about earlier. Changing lives, not X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm changing lives out here.
And I've probably got an entrepreneur on my hands as well with my 7-year-old.
Sounds like it. Before we go into the last topic, I want to hear from both of you how to continue to serve and support. This was like such a quick conversation. I'm lucky enough, I'm blessed enough to know you both already. But if the listener hasn't met you yet, what's the best way to support you, learn more, hire you, any of that jazz? Bridget, you can go first.
You could go to bridgethom.me. That's my direct calendar link for a strategy call. You could also get my best-selling book for free plus shipping at stuckonready.com.
Beautiful. And that is in the description if anyone's curious. Lynn, please go ahead.
Absolutely. So you can find me on my website at petite and the digit 2 queen.com. You can watch my highly rated TV show, Get More Clients. It's also available on all your podcast platforms. And I teach and train on sales every single week. So there's a lot of content there. And that's a really great way to see if this resonates with you, if this is what you're looking for in your business. And everything the knowledge that you gain, you have to apply it. And that speaks to Bridget. You have to take action. But there has to be the process and the strategy behind it. If you're just always chasing the latest shiny object, you're gonna get nowhere. You have to have intent and a plan so that you can actually get to the destination that you want to get to.
Right? Destination of your future successful self. Hire and fire the right mental team and you will get there.
So we've talked a lot about business development, sales. Sure, we can build a lot of relationships, help a lot of people, make a lot of money, but what's it all for if our life is crap? So we'll start with you, Bridget. We want to monetize. We want to build influence and scale in 2025, or honestly, any quarter that we're listening to this in. How do we do that while balancing a beautiful, successful life? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that was my complete goal. My big MOFA. No, I didn't swear at you, Ben. My big motivating factor was always, I want to go play with my children after 3 p.m. That was what was motivating me, what was driving me to be extremely intentional between the hours of 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. So I want to encourage you as an entrepreneur, choose your specific hours of operation. It doesn't have to be 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., but you need to choose them so that you can set your mind at a place where it builds that habit of you being intentional during this time frame. And then you plug in that list and then you make it happen. And ABP, always be prospecting. Lynn will agree with that. You always have to be creatively serving others with solutions, inspiring them, empowering them, and adding value. My entire program is all over the internet in little bite-sized nuggets, right? So be not afraid of sharing value, but always seek to empower that person in front of you, no matter what, during your hours of operations, because I believe you deserve a romance with your own life. Go salsa dancing, go play Pokemon Go, Lynn. That's awesome. But do those things that help you to feel more purpose, and then create a profit and be productive and proactive during those hours of operation.
Yeah. So you actually invoked a movie that I loathe and abominate with such passion. Glenn Ross with the Always Be Prospecting. So I'm going to take a step back from that.
Oh, there was Always Be Closing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So whatever you do, you want to watch a movie about sales leads, that's the one to do. I'm going to go on with that, with the sales, because I can tell you, nobody on their deathbed says, dang, if only I'd closed that other deal. It doesn't happen. You have to have that balance in your life. And for me, it is at that core, it's about helping and serving and creating value that for my clients, to help them in turn create that value for their clients, that ripple. It's just tremendous. But at the same time, I want to be able to do those things that I love. So Ben's on his way for a trip. I just got back from a week at Disneyland, with my daughter. And we did whether it was Disneyland or Disney California Adventures, chilling at the pool at Disneyland Hotel. It was amazing. And that you have to have that ability to unplug and to really embrace your life and to enjoy your life. So it's both sides, because I truly love what I do and the impact that I create. But I love the time I get to spend just on a weekend doing sewing or whatever it happens to be. So spending time with my family.
And, tagging in on that, like John Maxwell said, the secret to your success is determined by your daily agenda. And so I would give all my clients, I say, you want to align your top five priorities based on your roles and your goals daily, because that's ultimately what leads to burnout for every entrepreneur. It's that they don't know how to honor their roles and goals daily. So if you could put that in a list, what are your top 5 roles for your day that you get to play? It will help you to continue to pursue that success and that romance with life at the same time.
To close out, can I tell you guys what ABC stands for me? And if you're watching the video, I actually have the word behind me over here. Always be connecting. Always be connecting. So I want to again invite the viewer or the listener today to connect with both of you. Tell us one more time, Lynn, how can I connect with you?
I'm the only Lynn Whitbeck on LinkedIn, but you can find me on my website at petitetoqueen.com. And there's a lot of different ways that you can connect with me there. Bridget?
You can find me at bridgethom.me, or my website is bridgetofreedomcoaching.com. bridgetofreedomcoaching.com.
I'm just excited I got to spend time with both of these Biz Dev queens today. This was so much fun. I know the moment this is coming out, your inbox is getting flooded right now. So you better go check your inbox, gals, because it's getting flooded because people are connecting. They're saying hello. They're booking times. Thanks for coming on the podcast. This was kick butt. I appreciate both of your time.
Thank you, Ben. It was a pleasure. And Bridget, was so great getting to know you.
Likewise, Lynn. Thanks, Ben. Always a pleasure to share space with you.